Miyamoto, Musashi. Translated by Ruah Ezekiel. Narrated by Daniel King. In the past, an ancient Atlantean, an ancient Toltec by the name of Al-Harima, born in Japan with another name, Shiman Musashi no Kami Fujiwara, an ancient Atlantean warrior who has achieved the most supreme degrees of impeccability, a great Japanese samurai called the Sword Saint. Why? Before I explain what the sword is, he has achieved victory over the most dangerous enemies. First fear, then death, and also loneliness. He managed to cut through this invisible warrior too. For him, the most difficult turned out to be, for this Toltec from Atlantis, the battle with the secret warrior called Death. He wondered how to defeat it, what strategies, because he is a great strategist, an ancient one. He understood that he cannot defeat it, but he can die honorably. This is also a victory. This is a man army, a one-man army. There are occasions when he cuts down hundreds of people. He has achieved such control that a secret being from the gods enters into him and kills many enslavers. But he has achieved this high control, and even in one moment, while he is fighting, he does not know whether he is alive or not. But he is cutting away, and this deity in him that is of a higher degree knows where to cut and where not to cut, even though Musashi at the moment does not know whether he is alive. The Sword Saint. But what does the sword mean to him? I will explain. The firm qualities in the person, the principle. This is the teaching of firmness. Being firm in truth and justice. Then you have the right to be a sword saint. This is the true teaching, the teaching of the principle. A person of principle means one greatly devoted and loyal to their path. Such is Musashi. His motto is, fierce loyalty until the last moment of life. Not just loyalty, a fierce loyalty until the last moment of life. To him, victories do not matter at all. I will explain later. He says, the great lost knowledge is impeccability. This is what my spirit taught me. The one who has lost the knowledge, their darkness is roaring, moaning, because within their darkness there is no sun. Impeccability is a sword, i.e., a majestic support. The true warrior has a secret smile. This means a fortress which is above life and above death. But this smile is not a display. I will explain. This is a smile of the concealed energy, of the concealed power. This smile is in unity with impeccability and with the power of spirit. This smile is pure spirit. For it, death and life are lateral things. Says Musashi, if the cold comes here, in this smile, it is warmed. If the darkness comes here, it does not endure. Hardships do not stand this smile. This concealed smile, of which I am speaking to you, is deeper than words and speech. By and large, the warrior secretly smiles to all the kinds of fears. including to great solitude, because fears are also warriors, but the warrior is a warrior of spirit, a warrior of the sword, and so this smile is firmness, and Musashi says, firmness overcomes barriers. Death, says he, does not kill us, it only makes us invisible. Death makes us concealed warriors, even more successful through the secret battle. The dead ones, these are not the deceased, but the condemned to not know themselves. These are the dead, the ones condemned to not know themselves. Says Musashi, the dead are dangerous people because they do not know life and do not respect it, and because of this they violate it. This is why they are punished by firmness. A warrior is only the one who unwaveringly and with great zest pursues their goal. It even fears them. The goal itself fears them, but the goal itself wants them. I am reminded for a bit again of the Proverbs. I will tell you something, since we are preparing many books there. I have gathered somewhere around 190,000 proverbs. But here I will tell you one, which is also, it is a matter of trial. For example, one Russian proverb says so. Compared to the evil woman, Satan is an immaculate infant, i.e., there are many such proverbs. They are marvellous. What I want to say, this evil woman is God's will, God's punishment, but as you can see, Socrates grows in it, but only for the wise ones. It is not for other people. There are really marvellous proverbs. We are preparing them in time. They are numerous. Since I can remember another one in Sophia, they were very happy with it. I will tell it to you about the centipede. I have 1 foot in the grave, said the centipede. A lot of beauty, a very beautiful thing, a Bulgarian proverb, i.e., I have a very long life to live, not like a person with 2 poor legs, but another 99. They may even be more, and it may just not have counted them all. I continue. The dead ones are dangerous people. They do not know what to reach out to and how to. They have no measure at all. They do not even respect life. A warrior is only the one who unwaveringly and with zest pursues the goal. It at the same time wants them and is afraid, but it knows that it, too, will gain something. A fighter is not yet a warrior. They have fights, victories, aims, but they do not possess the meaning. The sage possesses the meaning. The warrior who knows power, but is without a sense of justice and truth, they fail. On the pure path of the warrior and of power, the person becomes a sage and a shining being. The true warrior endures great limitations, but they do not betray the meaning of their life. They never betray the principles. There is meaning not in victory or defeat, but in strategy. You may have heard, some of you know, ever since he was 13 years old, Musashi was calling out and challenging the greatest sword masters in the world. Sometimes he even goes with a wooden sword and they go with steel. He has not one loss. The biggest sword masters, Japan, China, everywhere, and against many people. We are talking about hordes, only victories and victories, but he does not uphold victory. And he says it himself. Victory is temporary, strategy continues, fierce loyalty until the last moment of life. Victory is of no matter. There is meaning not simply in victory and defeat, but in strategy. The warrior is composed of qualities. This means weapons. But the biggest weapon, says Musashi, is impeccability. It is the acting power itself. It is invisible might. Impeccability is the force that created us. It is the most ancient warrior. If we enter into it, we are no longer fighters, but warriors of ancientness. The spirit is the true warrior in the person, and all the kinds of training consists of this, to only reach that spirit. This is the purpose of all the types of training. Our spirit is a part of the ancient impeccability of the eagle, and if one small problem can defeat you, it is also a warrior, a dangerous adversary. Even the smallest problem, adversary, must never be underestimated. The adversary only exists if you feed it power, because it draws power from you. It has no power, but your fears, your supplies, make it strong. The purpose is in the battle, and not in the victory, because the warrior grows in battles, not from victories. Victory is only a temporary state, and the battle, this is the whole of life. The matter is of a battle for self-knowing, as is the true meaning of jihad. Jihad means to declare total war on all your weaknesses, and until now, many people do not understand this, and they speak lateral things. This is the holy jihad, declaring war to yourself. The wisdom of Musashi. The one who is conscious will see that all of the time they are walking on the way that they seek. The most dangerous enemies do not have a human nature, but a demonic one. You have to look at them with a gaze beyond reincarnations. This is the experience of this ancient Atlantean Toltec. So, you have to look at them with a gaze beyond reincarnations, beyond life and death. The true gaze, says Musashi, is as firm as stone. Ignorance is an old and dangerous adversary. One carries this adversary in themselves from the far past, and all people who cannot overcome ignorance, they are dead people. The mark of the ignorant ones is that they allow themselves to talk much, and of things they do not understand. They become even weaker. Both ignorance and knowledge are adversaries to impeccability. Many people think that knowledge is their friend, but common knowledge is actually a very dangerous adversary. It embraces you. The matter is about knowledge as an adversary, and suggests to you that you are a great and infallible warrior. And if you cannot overcome your high self-esteem, you will be misled and defeated. It is not easy to succeed in seeing knowledge as an adversary. This is only for those who constantly strive for self-perfection. No stopping, not a drop of rest. They work while resting, no laziness. I remember a proverb, Egyptian one. I will tell you. The lazy person ran off to chase the snail, but they could not catch up with it. Knowledge is an enemy because it cannot cross over the ordinary meaning. Only pure impeccability crosses over. The true warrior has a fierce loyalty in seeking the purpose. They do not seek techniques. Before all else, they seek the purpose. They seek truth, and it enlightens them. When you work on control for a long time, control over yourself in every regard, in the end, you see that another secret power has control over you, and you are only the instrument of the majestic, great loyalty. The true way means loyalty until the last moment, not up until some point, but until the last moment. A warrior can defeat any bandit in the mountains, but only the impeccable one defeats the demons in themselves. Juan de la Cruz says, the states of the lonesome bird are 5. First, it flies to the greatest heights. Second, it does not suffer for company. Third, its beak points at the sky. Fourth, it has no distinct colour. And fifth, this great bird warrior is very gentle. Power is not found in your abilities and strength, but in your control. This is a permission to enter into other worlds. If you achieve a high degree of control, here I will add, then in your life God can build his plan, not your plan from the past, but the divine plan from ancientness. The true martial art, says Musashi, is in completely mastering your consciousness. Whoever has mastery, they control the actions of others as well. Whoever has supreme, true power, says Musashi, they never resort to it. I will repeat again, whoever has supreme, true power never resorts to it. Like in the Taoist novel, The Mastership Game. Some know it. The Taoists achieve an enormous strength and power because they have completely given it up. And then Tao in them, when the time is right, in their great patience, enters as a fierce power. What does that mean? That means that if you develop such willpower and control, obligatory connected to great purification, I specify, then some hardship appears to you, an enormous hardship, and your mind, your positive thoughts, even your soul, say, it is impossible, we cannot deal with this. Then the secret willpower appears and says, it is possible, we will do it, i.e., your will receives permission from the supreme will of which we will talk next time. 6th of May, 2014. Martial Arts, Lecture 1. The True Warrior, First Idea for Contemplation. The Right Attitude, Lecture 2. Peace, Second Idea for Contemplation. The Wisdom of Martial Arts, Lecture 3. Wisdom, Third Idea for Contemplation. Let us do our protective formula. Martial Arts, Lecture 1. The person is born from the chaos of life, and this is why, in the world, there is a lot of chaotic presence. But here great masters descend, who are not from chaos, but from the void, the boundlessness. They have no future. They have no past. They are ancient, boundless beings, outside of this system of past and future. Here, the person merges with the first createdness, the eternally shining thread called the Great Way, the ancient way. The secrecy of the martial arts is one and one only, to become a true person, a person of Tao, a person of God. Those who do not have a special attitude towards truth remain at a lower level called discipline, training, effort, etc. Every occurrence is important. It comes in order for you to overcome yourself, and with this the person is enriched. For a true master of martial arts, the essential thing regarding you is truth precious to you? Not training, not discipline, the most important, the most essential thing. How dear is truth to you? The wise master is a creator of the essential in the person. They are a creator of Tao. First, they have created it within themselves, and with this way they want to create it in the disciple too. Only reality within us is the true warrior, i.e., our spirit, our soul. The wise master knows why people live after death as well, because they have missed Tao, and so they live to be born again until they know it. Because Tao is not known through discipline only, Tao is known with truth. And until then, people will be living in the afterlife and descending again until they reach the Tao essence. The true tradition teaches you to live in the essence of things. The victory over life and death is a matter of purified energy, which turns into power and overcoming power. Tai Chi is a distinct dance of life energy, the flow of your solar identity. This is your divine current. Every person has it. This is a wondrous harmony and completeness that you have achieved with your own self. This is the divine current. If you have succeeded in attaining this completeness, we are a part of this great and superb completeness. Purity within us, this is the ancient, true warrior. Otherwise, we are only fighters who win and lose. Fighters have no connection to the source. Only the pure energy is the connection. Such a thing has happened at the stakes, when in November we will be speaking of the Bogomils. Only a small diversion. At the stakes, the beings of love are summoned. Those who are summoned at the stake are determined for entering into God and for rebirth in God. All others were punished to remain in the world and in the mind, and to wonder what kind of world this is. Of course, without God, it really is a wonder what kind of world it is at all. Fighters have no connection to the source. Only the pure energy, as I said, is the connection. Humility, according to martial arts, humility is pure chi, pure energy, and because of this, it is a death for evil. You cannot fight a person who has defeated themselves. The person has to wield their energy, teach it, educate it, unfold it, and purify it, because this is a path towards yourself. The true warrior achieves the goal, self-knowledge, and this means finding an entrance towards the depths within yourself. And this place that you can reach within yourself is amazing. This is your divinity, your boundlessness, and then you start living like it, like the boundlessness. If you remember the command of the Atlantean master, which we said years ago, never violate the boundlessness within you. This means do not have such an act with which you violate, impede the boundlessness. In here, you can see your shining, your uncreatedness, though inside the state of being, your ancientness. The heart is an ancient temple, and within it is the power of the true person and the true warrior. A heart, which is a temple, it is also a sword. The heart itself is pure spiritual power. The true warrior, this is returning home, returning into the boundlessness, and this is attaining Tao, the so-called true way. When the warrior is in Tao, in the boundless, they surpass all other states. The true warrior, first idea for contemplation. The true warrior is an exceptional seeker of the way, of Tao. They forget all that others remember, in order to remember that all others forget. The true warrior is, because of this, a sage, because they have tasted from the fine substance of Tao. They feed only on very fine energies. They catch them with their voidness, with their boundlessness. The way of the true warrior is a fire which burns along its way all lateral things, all attachments. This is what has happened at the stake. A total death of evil, of the smallest evil. A complete destruction of worldly thinking. This is another civilization, another belief, which we will uncover more and more. When the heart has long exercised in purity, it returns into the ancient tradition called Zhen, i.e. truthfulness. The true warrior is a loyal spirit. Life is of little importance compared to possessing a loyal spirit. Lao Tzu says, whoever has attuned to the void, they clean the dark mirror within themselves. So, whoever has attuned to the void, they clear the dark consciousness from themselves. The truthfulness is the absolute rhythm of the universe, the eternal current of life. The way of the warrior is the way of self-achievement in truth. The power of the true warrior is soft and yielding. Notice, like water. No one can defeat the water and wind, soft and yielding, but it can wipe out everything in its path. This softness can wipe out everything in its path. The enlightened consciousness itself appears as an act which is above all other acts. According to the sages, the professional does not achieve the goal, the sage achieves it. The true martial art is not a profession, it is an unconditional love. A profession is not love. Like some have turned faith into a profession, this is love towards God. It has nothing to do with a profession. A profession is not love, and because of this, it is an enemy of acquiring truth. The professional does many things, and according to the Taoists, truth is in not doing. I will explain. The sage does not talk, does not act, does not think, and with this they are different from other people. They reside in the essence, in God, in Tao, in the omnipresent. In here they become incapable of acting and doing. Here Tao does things. Not them, but Tao does things. Tao does them in them, and this means that the void, the boundlessness, is an eternal victor. Similar is the Bogomil's trust at the stake, to stand before the stake with an exceptionally big humility and to let God decide. This is total faith, total trust. Whatever he decides is the best, and he makes no mistake. The right attitude. Lecture 2. The warrior is a warrior because they have tamed their ego, i.e. their death. Where there is ego, there is evil. It might be small, might be big. This is all the same, death. In the right attitude, there is no ego, no death, and no sin either. Such a thing says Christ too, in the Apocryphs of Peter. Peter asks him, "Is there sin?" Christ says, "There is no sin, but if you act in a bad way, sin has already entered. It does not exist, but if you act, you already bring it in. You become a door." The right attitude is the creator of the eternal human. This attitude is not of the world, but it happens in the world. In the right attitude, eternity is preserved. This is why the Master says, one mistake, one wrong act, and your whole philosophy ends. Everything ends. This is the teaching of the Toltecs as well. So much training, impeccability, that in the end you become incapable. This same thing Christ learned with the Essenes, and in the end the Essenes Master says of him, he achieved such a degree of supremacy that he became incapable of doing wrong. Such sacred acts, such approach, the ability to make mistakes is already lost. The right attitude is not of the world, as I said. The essence, Tao, is and is found in the right attitude. And in the essence there is no death, no ego, no randomness. The right attitude is the eternal attitude, and the earthly attitude is sent here, to earth, in order to learn. The earthly attitude is sick, calculating. It is always looking for gain and not for truth. Because of this, it loses. The right attitude is a sword. Within it, truth is the sword. This is why a person can control their enemies through the right attitude. They can control chaos. They can control disasters too. The wrong attitude is connected to and is ruled by parasites, more or less entered inside, penetrated, invaded parasites. The right attitude requires a very strict vigilance. This means to constantly be in the spirit, in the essence, to constantly see as a warrior, not as a person, but as a warrior. Not as a fighter either, but as a warrior. To see the moves of both the visible and the invisible enemies. The essence sees them. In the right attitude, there is never any gain. The right attitude is found within the principle of things. It is a particular type of power, a particular kind of spirit. The word principle means both power and spirit and protection. This is something much deeper than the word law. With the law and with rules, there are exceptions. With the principle, there is no exception. You are either in the system of God and of truth, or you are not. When you are in, you see. like that occurrence with Morhe. He fights 12 of his disciples in a dark room. He strikes them all. They neither see him, nor do they know how he acts. But he sees them and acts, because he is within the essence. He has achieved the essence. He has achieved the principle, the truthfulness of things. The person has become a person when they have lost their right attitude. And from spirit they became mind. They became a person. Let us not talk about the happy person. I have told you. I will only remind you of the words of Al-Halaj. The most useless thing in the world is the happy person. It is very difficult to find something more useless. Sometime I will explain it in more detail, when we will speak of Al-Halaj. Whoever has lost their right attitude, they have lost their enlightenment as well. Buddhism, how does it work? It does not seek holiness, because this is a big mistake. This is, as a whole, a wrong goal, holiness. Buddhism looks for the void. Notice the boundlessness. It is not limited by holiness. It seeks the boundlessness, and in this way it enters very deeply into the essence, where the saints cannot set foot. Besides, there is no need to go into a monastery, says Buddha, because if you start working on yourself very diligently, you are already a monk. The end. It does not matter where you are already a monk. God is not a saint. This would have been a great limitation if he was a saint. God is infinity. He is voidness, boundlessness. The great and unfathomable observer knows who and what for has come to train martial arts. With what secret purpose? The true warrior has come to attain the truth and their essence, to attain God, to attain Tao. The right attitude, this is the purest virtue, called in Chinese, Di. This is an ancient Chinese, deep understanding of the essence, and this has nothing to do with morality, because morality knows nothing of completeness and of the boundlessness. It ponders, it imagines that it has attained some purity, but morality is not a measure, nor is holiness a measure. Boundlessness is a measure. This voidness, or the great completeness, this is the person shining within their secret, something which is above all rules, techniques, meditations, methods, discipline, and some mere health. One who is deprived of this essence, this completeness, they can never be a master, they can never be a sage. Such a sage does not always gather people around them. However, if they decide, they can gather them, but they observe God. Whenever it is God's will, they do not insist on gathering people, and they do not uphold people at all. But if God says so, they gather people around themselves when God's will wants this. Master Cheng says, modern wushu is in detriment because it deals not with the spirit of wisdom, not with the essence, but with some strengthening of health. And from this, you miss both health and wisdom, because the goal is wrong. I will explain. First, the presence of health is never a pure presence. It is never boundlessness. It is never voidness. It never means that a person is spirit. this presence is not spiritual. Second, health which is without truth, without God, without essence, without the right attitude, it will be destroyed. It was wrongly created, and it will be destroyed. Why? So that the person can contemplate and learn when they have become healthy again. How to use their health. Health is given so that you serve God and not for lateral, secondary things. Health without truth is a treacherous road, a long, dark, and impenetrable night. And third, the sage has firstly truth, essence. Then they have a secret heart, a deep, sacred heart. In time, we will talk of the teaching of the heart according to Egypt, and after that, in the end, they have health. It comes naturally. They do not seek it, but health comes, because true health is where the truth and purity are. With them, things are in their right order, not health first and then purity and truth. It is strictly determined. Truth, purity, and health comes as a consequence. Peace. Second idea for contemplation. Peace is peace because within it, thoughts are absent. Peace is essence. It is the essence of this boundlessness, and movement is only a means of the existence of this boundlessness that is limiting itself. Peace in itself is completeness and liberation. Besides this, peace is also a cure from paradise, not to mention hell. Peace is the ultimate image of every activity. Peace is an ancient self-knowledge. Peace is the completeness of the wise person, and this is the end of the world. Whoever has achieved this peace, they have removed the world. They are done with the world, and they have returned, and this end of the world is very beautiful, because they have returned into the uncreatedness. This is what the pure Bogomils chose as well. Just imagine the impure ones, the people of the church, cast a curse on the pure ones, cast a curse on the Bogomils, and on God within them. Imagine what an enormous fall. But as I said, we will speak of this in November. The sage carries within them peace and depth, which are not found in the martial arts, nor in the world. They carry within themselves Tao, and therefore they can lead and help, but according to the way Tao wants. Here, in peace, all movements die. They have originated from it, and they die in it. Peace is the matrix, the mother of all movement. It is the ancient state. A momentary and true experiencing of peace, according to the Taoists, dilutes time for a year. So if you manage to enter not a state of calmness, of common peace, we are not even talking at all, but a state of peace. Peace is from the soul. Common peace is from the mind. It always makes peace treaties, but it has no peace within itself. Peace is a secret of the spirit. Only one small experience of peace. Time is diluted for a year. For 1 year, you are no longer under the influence of time if you experience a true small moment of the secret of peace. The pure approach is something which merges with the peace of eternity, This is what has to be accumulated in order to become worthy, say the Taoists, for peace to gaze upon you. The true weapon of the pure warrior is Xian in Chinese. This means truthfulness. This includes mainly four things. First, the word. Second, power, not energy. Third, reverence. And fourth, veneration. Four extremely important things which are observed by the sages. The word, power, reverence, and veneration. The true warrior is born of the formidable core of truth, and peace is a measure of true knowledge. This is a measure, this is a diagnosis, a supreme measure for true knowledge. Peace is not a quality of knowledge, nor of the mind. Peace is purely spiritual. It is a connection to the boundlessness and to the essence. It is radiated only by truth. Peace is the place of concentrated purity and concentrated pure life energy. If a person is incapable of silence, they will reach neither silence nor peace. When you are in pure silence, you can listen, and when you are in the quiet, you merge, and then you can disappear into peace as well. From silence, you cannot pass directly into peace. You have to enter the supreme quiet, and it has to allow you to disappear into peace. Within this great peace, nothing is born, say the Taoists. This is the place of unbirth. This is the place of uncreatedness. The Wisdom of Martial Arts, Lecture 3. Zen says, the true comprehension of martial arts is called an exclusion of everything which veils the true life and the true knowledge. The sage carries within themselves the spirit of lightness. Whatever happens, says Chuang-Tzu, it is always light for the sage. They have no burden. They carry no burden. They are not created. And so Chuang-Tzu says, what is light is always true. Lightness, there is no matter, no weight. Lightness, spirit, and soul. The sage sees inside the secret of life, and they know that everything that is happening is always the best, no exception. This is how Tao acts. This is how God acts. In ancient China, it was not important what a person is. Such a matter is not observed, but what their wisdom is. The sage does not become wise from philosophy and from ideas, but from their relation to them, from their approach, from their sacred approach towards things, not pondering, not a notion, not philosophy, not quotes, sacred relations to things. The sage is outside of techniques and rules. They see in spirit because the sage is spirit. They are not a person. You may think, if you encounter a sage, that they are a person. This is a mistake. They appear as a person, but they are not a person. The ideal of the warrior sage is peculiar. It is never knowledge. It is never creativity. They do not aim to leave marks. They do not want to be any authority. Their purpose is to feed, i.e., they feed on Tao, on the essence. They feed on truth, and this is their complete food. In this way, they feed on the completeness of life. This is why they love everything, and this is why they really give way to the ant. Like The master gave way to that little worm and said, "This is a future white brother in development. True reverence. This is the approach. They are able to enjoy the ancient primordial life before the cosmos has been. From then still, they are able to enjoy. The sage draws life from their heart, from their sky. They do not take and they do not steal energy from others' hearts. They have no such skill. They are self-sufficient in themselves. Because they act purely, they have a connection with the source within themselves. They feed on peace, and this peace is not some musings, but this peace is life." In Taoist language, the word life means a meeting of the boundlessness with the boundlessness, a meeting of the human spirit with the divine spirit, a meeting of essence with essence. They have met. Taoist wisdom is a matter of approach. The master says, expresses this so: your heart you will address as my friend, your mind as my slave, your will as my mighty and beautiful sword, and towards your soul, now much more reverently, the master says towards it as Master Gracious, because it is a part of the secret of God himself, the Supreme Soul. The true master and sage have no reactions. They have non-doing, i.e., eternal behavior of the boundlessness, approach of eternity and approach of the boundlessness. They follow Tao, and therefore they are constantly renewed. One small and insignificant thing, according to the Taoists, can cast you far away. One small and wrong act can cast you far away. This small thing, according to the Taoists and according to the toltecs, is a mighty adversary. This is called Ni Gong, and it is a secret inner achievement, i.e., if you succeed to act in such a way, imperceptible but pure. But if you make a mistake, the rightness is already broken. However, if you know how to act imperceptibly and purely behind the person's back, exceptionally pure, there is nobility. There is the teaching of the Taoists. This is an achievement of which the master hinted to, but as a whole it is not to be commented on, because the matter is of a concealed, incredible ability, because the more secret a certain purity is, the mightier it is. Sometime I will explain to you why God, he could have imposed the Bogomils, could have made them very powerful to enforce them in the world. But he does not want this way, because he has created truth in such a way. I am only giving a small hint here, that God himself does not violate it. It is created in such a way that he cannot violate it, because even if he violates it, he will lose a part of his almightiness from his great power, and so he does not want to enforce himself in this world. The true warrior is an abyss of vital wisdom, wisdom itself. This is an ability to preserve peace and clarity, two things. The sages say, behind the right attitude there is always a secret additional power, and the wrong attitude is a cast veil of darkness and dark. The wrong attitude is self-devouring. This is an approach of the ego. The Toltec warrior is loyal to impeccability. This impeccability is a blow against all parasites. Against it all of terrorism is helpless. This is the way for terrorism to disappear, impeccability. I have explained. I will tell you again. Terrorism is not an Islamic curse. It is God's curse. This is, I will tell you further in September or October, this is the divine wrath in action. Never judge it, because in time you will enter into this wrath. You do not know what God is doing. You do not know his secret good. Never judge the divine wrath, because all those who judge it and disapprove of it, this wrath will draw them in, and something very much worse that I do not want to say. Never judge God. He acts everywhere, and more precisely than the poor human comprehension can imagine. The parasites have an ancient fear of impeccability. In Atlantis, this impeccability was called the sword of truth. This is another concept of impeccability. Behind this sword acted, according to the Toltecs, the eagle or the king of power, who we call God. The ancient gods were teaching the Toltecs impeccability, and therefore the path of the true warrior is a history of immortality, because here you are truthful. Because you are truthful, the spirit of immortality is teaching you. The impeccable ones became immortal, and the immortal ones had no death, hence the word immortality, i.e. without death. Translator's note: in Bulgarian, the word for immortality is composed of the words without and death. The warrior of the right attitude has returned into their spirit. Wisdom. Third idea for contemplation. The path of the truthful person is a path towards boundless wisdom, but they never stop learning, and all the rest must wage war with their ancient past. This is the personal diversion from truth. This is the heavy past of the person. This is fate. This is karma, the personal diversion from truth. Takuan Soho says, achieve your inner sword, your inner warrior. This is truthfulness. The sage says, from one thing know 10,000 things. So, from one little detail know endless things. The word Toltec is a great ancient word. I explained it some time ago. In anciency, only the one who succeeded to see the eagle, the essence, they had the right to call themselves Toltec. A direct sight of God, face to face, they call it the eagle. Only then can you be called Toltec and bear that name. The Toltecs say, walk unswervingly. This is the way. The one who has seen the essence has become essence. This is why Hermes says, you can know God only when you have become God. And by birth we are gods, and we are immaculate, not sinful, but primordially immaculate. This is our origin. If you want to see the truth, become truth. Musashi says, gaze at that which others do not gaze at. Take up that which no one takes up. And then he says, the one who is able to defeat their enemy never battles. They have such a presence, I have told you. God has no adversaries. He never will. The true warrior defeats without killing. The mastery is within yourself, not in shooting the bow. The arrow strikes the target only when it is in harmony with the truth. This is the great law, i.e., your arrow has to hit the heart of God and come into this eternity, this essence. This means shooting right. If you succumb to any weakness, says Musashi, you become a dead person. The true sage constantly considers truth, the primordial power. In this way, they constantly pursue strength because of likeness to God. Musashi says also, I met a powerful warrior with faith, and I asked him, does faith purify you from weaknesses? And he bowed to me. His faith had not purified him from weaknesses. I met many people of the lie, and I saw that my truth of the way was as a curse to them. My path towards truth was to them like a curse. Ego always lives in the danger of its own knowledge. Your knowledge, says Musashi, can turn out being your enemy. You think you know, you even think that your knowledge is right, a very dangerous and treacherous enemy, because it very much hinders you to reach humility. You must very clearly, says Musashi, see knowledge as a dangerous adversary, because it is not love, it is not wisdom, it is knowledge. If you see it clearly, you will overcome it. If you do not see it, it will guide you downwards. All those who cannot overcome the foe named ignorance, they are dead people. The adversary only exists if you feed them with power, if you consider them strong. The adversary is only strong when they draw power from you. If they succeed in making you think of them often, then your power will flow into them and you lose more and more power. And, says Musashi, I met people with strong faith, but they did not have great loyalty. They were already ruined. The goal is not to defeat your enemies. The goal, says Musashi, is to defeat the devil inside you. The wisdom of martial arts, and the main emphasis falls on the great Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi is an ancient warrior, a warrior from the abyss of power. As I told you, this is an ancient Atlantean from the Toltec race, who later on comes as a samurai. Then still he achieved a high degree of infallibility, of impeccability. In Atlantis still, he knew himself as essence. This means that since then he does not belong to death. He is an ancient warrior of light, because he is one of those who succeeded in entering the core of truth. As a samurai in Japan, he met with many people with ego, but few who were true warriors, i.e., people with essence. Only people with essence can be warriors. People with purity, people of the mind, as much as they train, cannot be warriors. They can be fighters. Musashi says, I only kneel before true things. And he also says, power can be defeat too, but control, this is already reality. The true bread of the warrior is impeccability. This is the power of the pure chi energy. The impure one creates plots, and the impeccable one smites. Philosophy is a defeat, and impeccability is liberation. Musashi is a great master of body, mind, will, heart, and spirit. He says, the way of the sword means to achieve your true essence. When the truth is within you, you already are the sword. I follow the way neither of Buddha nor Confucius, nor the way of the military strategists. I only follow the spirit of the way, nothing else, the spirit of the way. The true way is in this, to invest your whole spirit with no remainder. In the new Book of Prayer, which we have republished, it is said, what is the secret of prayer? Invest all the power in the world into the prayer. This means the secret of prayer. Those who become attached and addicted to something, they lose their way and their power. Whoever has no I, they overcome good and evil. They overcome both this world and the other world. As strong as the enemy is, my consciousness remains my ownership. No one can strike my consciousness. In it no enemy can enter. This is my decision. If you have no I, then you have no adversary, i.e., if you have become pure and boundless, the enemies have melted away. Victory is before all else an attack of the spirit. The true warrior attains their goal because they do not allow anything to divert them from the way. Whoever is able to wage war, they never become angry. They do not have this feeling in them. They have no anger. Anger means weakness. To become nothing is the most supreme mastery, says Musashi. Then within you the boundlessness acts. Who can go to war with the boundlessness? Through themselves, the strong one must go. Then they have to lose themselves, and in the end to gain themselves. Learn to see what is hazy as if it were clear. The ancient one said, since he is from the race of the gods, he is talking about the Bahishads, i.e. the gods. Be able to be soft and firm. If I were not harsh, I would not survive. If I were not soft to people, I would not deserve life. If you become immaculately pure, to you no matter will exist, i.e., there will be no boundaries for your energy. The pure energy is non-material. The adversary is not always something that can be seen, but if you have pure energy, you know who they are. Most dangerous in the person is the small, hidden flaw. This is confirmed by the master as well. The big flaw is clear to you and to others. Everyone can see it, devils and people. But the small, unnoticeable one, there you have to search and observe because it is a hidden enemy. Most dangerous is the small, hidden flaw. It is a hidden adversary, says Musashi, and if the person is very pleased and self-confident, they will not be able to see it. And when they die, the true warrior is also saved from death. It cannot touch them. The true warrior is older than death, and therefore death does not know them, and it goes around them. The true warrior kills those who do not work for the boundlessness. The true warrior kills only dead people, those who must die twice. Musashi killed exactly such people, people with ego. A very rare case, many killings and no karma whatsoever. It is simply God in him that is clearing away, showing lessons and teaching lessons. Rare case. I will talk of him again another time. In this way, the truth sends its dark, so that it destroys the impure ones and gives them a lesson. The dark is the killer of darkness within the person. This is why the dark seeks the person. The true warrior is the dark for the dead ones. They are danger. They are sent as dark in order to wake them up. The true warrior is crushed by neither death nor life, because the true warrior is uttered from truth. This uttered one pierces death and life and goes beyond. The uttered warrior is not of the world, they are of the substance of the boundlessness. The uttered warrior removes death and life, they are from the furthest depths, and for those of death and of life there will always be dark. The uttered warrior is something immutable inside the truth. This is truth itself in action. As long as you are ego, you will always have adversaries. You will always have enemies. If your ego does not exist, there will be no adversaries and enemies. Be free from everything which is something. This something is dependency. Within the true warrior, only one thing exists, the great invincibility. The wisdom of martial arts continued. Death is called ego, and essence is called freedom. The true warrior is not just a fighter. They are a secret from the core of truth. If you remember that occasion with Ali, the nephew of Muhammad, when he wants to cut down one of the enemies, he spits on him, and Ali withdraws his sword, does not cut him, and he says, "Why do you do this?" Ali replies, "I do not kill out of weakness. I love God, and I serve only God's will. I only serve God, and I kill out of God's will, not of my own will." And this man converted to Islam. Ego always dies, because on it there is no trace of truth. If your consciousness is within truth, your enemies are already defeated. Nothing can divert the one who has firmly chosen to seek truth. The loyalty of the true warrior is beyond life and death. This loyalty is deeper than life and death. This warrior has within them the most ancient sword, called the spirit. The warrior of truth, says Musashi, has eyes millenniums old. If you have power without spirit and truth, then this power will rob your whole life and your whole path. The warrior of truth has quicker awareness than all the reflexes and instincts existing sometime and now. This warrior does not depend on instincts and reflexes, because the truth is faster and it is ahead of them. Find the truth and evil will die. Whoever wages war without the truth is doomed, even with every victory. Only the truth is able to create the secret power. Whoever does not seek the truth in martial arts, they will get only the discipline. Of course, this is something as well. It will help in other lives, but they will have bare discipline. Ego is the thief of your soul, and this is why the warrior has created a sword for themselves, the sword of truth. Life within ego is life in a dark land. Ego is a treacherous murderer of the person, but this murderer is not a warrior, it is only a fighter. Your depth is a warrior, and you have to defeat ego. Against the meaningless power of the ego, you have to send the merciless power of truth. Ego will always return into death because it never has honor, it never has dignity. The true warrior knows why the truth is concealed, and Musashi says of himself, "I was a fierce power." There are occasions when he cuts down hundreds of men during war, where he is called to help, since they wanted to enslave his people. He does not remember at all how he cuts. He becomes a whirlwind of truth. and he does not remember how many he killed. Countless. They made him the leader of an army. This is a formidable force, and when purity lets loose when God allows it, because God must allow you to become power. This is how Musashi acted in this instance. And here he says, I was a fierce power which served the truth, but I did not know how worthy I was of it. The truth is gracious, I understood, and deadly. Without truth, even if you live, you have not survived. Within truth is the way, and within ego are victories and defeats. Ego will always live with its lie, and the sage will always live with their essence. Ego hangs onto its own until death, and it always acquires death. Ego is without development. This is the old life inside the lie, a life in which there is no dignity. Even when there are bows, there is no dignity. As I told you, some fitness program. Ego, be it born or unborn, it is always dead, i.e., it does not matter whether such a person is in this world or the other world. They are always something dead, because they are without truth within themselves. When I was killing many people with ego, I knew I was killing dead men, and truly I perceived that many dead men are in the world, but it is as if they live, they pass as living. They did not know that they were dead. One with ego is always ruined because they are in conflict with themselves. What type of thing is the ego? The old, fallen world. The master calls it remnants of old civilizations, the stagnation of civilizations past. Ego sees delusions and becomes more and more deluded. The warrior sees truth and self-improves more and more. I met great spirits on earth, and there was nothing to defeat in them. They had defeated themselves, and I bowed deeply to them. Om. Eleazar Harash.